After losing everything, he trains to become the strongest warrior and takes revenge. The Labyrinth City attracts people who want to be adventurers from all parts of the country. People of various species and backgrounds come there to grow stronger, hunt monsters, and earn fame and money. Nick is one such adventurer who seems to have it all. He's an excellent swordsman, has a wonderful girlfriend, and is a member of a reputed party. Everything was going well with him until one day, the party leader Argus, who was also his foster father and teacher, called him. Argus told Nick that he didn't want him in their party anymore because he didn't have the mindset of an adventurer. He accused him of being too self-important and righteous because he tried kicking out a party member who was stealing money from their funds. This completely blindsided Nick, but his misfortunes were not over yet. Later that day, he met his girlfriend Claudine in a tavern and told her that he was kicked out of his party. He was expecting her to be sympathetic towards his situation, but it turned out that Claudine was a gold digger. She called Nick a useless loser because he had lost his job and dumped him without a second thought. Devastated after being heartbroken twice on the same day, he sat by a fountain, unable to notice that he was being drenched by rain. Suddenly, a blue-haired girl approached him. He tried shooing her away, but she simply gave him a ticket to her show. She revealed that she was an upcoming idol named Agate and asked Nick to come to her show if he had nothing better to do. She left the ticket and her umbrella with him and ran away, calling him Mr. Stray Dog and asking him to come for sure. Nick decided to check out her show because why not? As soon as he saw Agate perform, he got totally hooked. He became an idol otaku and spent all the money he had on Agate merchandise. The next day, he went to the Adventurers Guild because he needed more money to spend on merchandise. He tried to find any party that would take him in, but everyone already had their party full by then. Nick then spotted a blonde guy standing alone in the corner and decided to talk to him. However, self-doubt crept in as he recalled how he was kicked from the last party, so he fumbled the opportunity, and someone else recruited the blonde guy. After failing to talk to a single person all day, Nick headed to a tavern for an early drink to forget about his failures. He sat down alone at a table, drinking cheap beer and eating flavorless food while parties around him kept chanting slogans about the power of friendship, which disgusted him more than his dull food. Suddenly, a group of 3 people arrived in the tavern, and they had to share Nick's table because no other table was free. They sat down one by one, and Nick could tell that they were not there together. The first of them was a rich girl wearing fancy clothes and carrying a big magic stone. Nick realized that she was from a noble family but wondered why a person like her was there. The second guy looked like a priest from his uniform, but he was already drunk and smelled of cheap women's perfume, which made Nick realize that he just came from the red light district. On top of that, he also didn't have the medal of a cleric, which meant that he was fired from the church. The last person was a dragon girl with scars all over her body, and Nick realized that she had seen her fair share of battles, but deep down, she seemed like a scared, injured animal. Finally, the booze arrived, and Nick wanted to make a toast to everything he lost that day and to the 3 losers sharing the table with him. So after drinking the beer, he slammed the mug on the table, yelling that they couldn't trust humans. He was not alone, and everyone else also yelled the same thing at the same time. They looked at each other and realized that they were all similar in some way or another, so they ended up sharing their stories. The rich girl named Tiana went first. She spoke about how she was once the top student at the most prestigious magic school in the country. Everyone praised her for her abilities and humility. One day, she went to the cafeteria and found her fiancé sitting there with another woman. Tiana didn't suspect anything at first, so she eagerly started telling him about her day and how the teachers praised her for her new magic. However, the fiancé turned out to be a misogynistic piece of crap with a very small and fragile ego. He was feeling overshadowed by Tiana's achievements and started yelling at her for being too self-important. The girl with him also accused Tiana of belittling other students who were not nobles like her. She even said that Tiana had seduced her teachers to get better grades, and her fiancé believed all of that. He didn't even give Tiana a chance to explain herself and broke up with her. Following that, the heartbroken Tiana left the school and got permission from her dad to leave the house and live on her own. She came to Labyrinth City to get a job, but no one hired her. However, as she was sighing about her tough luck on the road, she found an advertisement about a gambling company. Tiana bought the ticket and ended up winning the first gamble of her life. She soon became a full-fledged gambler and lost everything she had. As soon as she didn't have any money to even pay the rent, she decided to try her hand at adventuring and went looking for a party the next day. However, whenever someone tried to recruit her, She ended up scaring them away because of her resting face. That made her come to the tavern to drink away her misery. Next, the priest introduced himself as Zen, who used to be a respected healer in his small town. One girl from the town often helped him out by collecting a lot of medicinal herbs for him. Zen thanked her and paid her good pocket money for her work. One night, the girl arrived at his clinic with fewer herbs. Zen tried handing her a coin, but she grabbed his hand instead, asking him to love her like a woman. Now Zen was a man of character. He told the girl that he was not allowed to date anyone because he was a priest, instead of telling her that she was too young to be dating anyone. The girl was deeply hurt by his words, so she ran away crying and cursing him. The next day, as Zen was healing his patients, a bunch of priests entered his clinic and brought him out. Zen saw the helper girl behind them looking quite sad and hurt. He immediately tried to reach her and ask what happened to her, but he soon found out that the girl accused him of harassing her just because he didn't accept her proposal. She began crying and throwing the coins she got from Zen, saying that he gave them to her as hush money. Without even being given a chance to explain himself, Zen was locked up in a shitty prison for 3 months. When he was taken out of jail, he was paraded in front of the angry people before being banished from his hometown forever. Zen soon arrived at a rundown inn in a nearby town where a beautiful olive-skinned lady knew him already. She greeted him with a smile, and Zen noticed that she had severe back pain, so he offered to heal her. He healed her all night in the bed, apparently, and in the morning, the lady felt much better. She told Zen that she believed he was a good person. She told him to go to the labyrinth city and become an adventurer to live his life freely without any guilt. Not only that, she gave him a bag with some cleric clothes, a staff, and a magic book. Zen said that he could not take it, but the woman urged him to keep them because they once belonged to a friend of hers back when she was an adventurer. After that, Zen took a liking to mature women, and he was in the city to have fun with them while working as an adventurer. The dragon girl was the last, and as Nick asked her to share her story too, she got startled. She said that something precious was stolen from her by someone close to her, and everyone was embarrassed as they thought she was talking about her virginity. Well, it turned out that the dragon girl Curran was too drunk to elaborate properly. They drank some more, and the next morning Nick woke up to find himself in a strange place with his drinking buddies from last night. Tiana told everyone that this was her room and told them to get out. Everyone headed out, but then Nick suddenly asked them to stop. He asked them if they thought that getting separated here was the right choice for them. He said that if they stuck together, they could make enough money to live comfortably. He emphasized that they were all outcasts who had no place anywhere, so they should just create a party amongst themselves. They all immediately hooked onto the plan and went to the Adventurers Guild to register themselves. The old receptionist looked at them and noticed that Nick was the primary offensive player of a well-known party, and Curran was the only person in history who was able to come back from the Sea Lev dungeon alive by herself. She asked them what their name would be, and Nick replied that they would be known as the Survivors. That night, they all sat down while Nick told them that they had all been betrayed before, so he would like to set some rules to ensure it didn't happen again. The first rule was that no one interfered with others' lives and should mind their own business. Secondly, they would equally keep an eye on the money, making sure that it wasn't entrusted to just one person. Third, and most important of all, no matter what, they would survive each and every day. The next morning, they began by starting to explore the G-level dungeons, which were very easy, but they had to finish the boss to get promoted to the next level. Because Zen and Tiana had never been in an actual battle, Nick taught them the ropes of how to deal with monsters. He showed them a slime monster and told them how to kill it and take out its core, which they could sell in the market. Everything seemed to be going fine as they kept chatting and laughing alongside each other. When they finally reached the next floor, where everyone was taking out these cores, Tiana told them that it was very easy and even she could fight stronger opponents as she had defeated goblins and even at work. Just then, she ended up slipping on a slime while another one latched onto her face. She took them out while Nick laughed, telling her to be more careful. Tiana, however, overreacted and out of irritation tried to shoot the slime with her ice magic attack but ended up engaging in a little friendly fire. Thankfully, Curran, an experienced adventurer, blocked her magic with her sword. But the vibe changed as Tiana tried to apologize, and Curran flew off the handle, telling her that she tried to trust her. But this was what she was doing on the very first day. They stayed at odds with each other for the rest of the time, and finally, they were able to reach the top floor. While walking, Zen commented about the huge pink slime ahead, And Nick replied that it was the boss of the slime that they had to defeat. Without a second thought, Tiana, the giant idiot, ended up rushing towards the boss and using powerful ice magic on it. The icicle froze the slime, but just when she thought she had won, the slime exploded, drowning them with its goo. They all came out of the dungeon achieving their objective, but now they had to wash the sticky substance off of them. While washing themselves, Nick told Tiana that she needed to chill out and ask for advice when she knew nothing about something. He also told Zen to stay at the end as he had zero offensive capabilities. He realized that none of them trusted each other even a bit, so he started an exercise with them. He stripped down to his pants and laid everything in front of them before explaining that he was a swordsman who was good at hand-to-hand combat and small weapons but couldn't use magic, couldn't heal anyone, and couldn't even use heavy weapons like Curran. He explained that people were scared if they didn't know what the other person could do. But now they knew his exact limits, which would hopefully result in them trusting him more. Slowly, the priest ended up explaining his powers and weaknesses. Zen goes next, telling them that he is good at healing people but has absolutely zero offensive capabilities and can be easily defeated by any kind of magical or physical attack. Tiana steps up next. In an effort to show how apologetic she is, she goes in front of Curran and explains that she is proficient in ice and wind magic but can also use lightning and earth magic. However, her biggest weakness is fire magic and close-quarter combat. She then retreats and sits down shivering, feeling rejected by Curran. Seeing this, Curran throws a fireball nearby to start a small fire to keep Tiana warm. They eventually make up and head to the Goblin Forest, where they are attacked by a bunch of goblins. Nick explains that these goblins are not very strong individually but attack in groups and can lay traps if adventurers are not careful. One goblin tries to hit Zen, who blocks the attack before Nick swiftly kills the goblin. Nick then charges forward, slicing through multiple goblins. Tiana saves Zen from another goblin attack, and they successfully defeat the first wave. Nick then asks Tiana to locate the other goblins using her magic detection ability. She identifies 10 more goblins nearby and becomes flustered as she senses a goblin with 5 times the usual magical power. Nick immediately recognizes it as a hobgoblin, a powerful evolved form, and tells the group that retreating is not an option because the goblins would then attack nearby villages. Nick devises a plan. Curran, being the strongest in physical combat, will attack the hobgoblin directly while Zen provides buffs and Tiana offers cover fire. They all agree and the battle begins. Nick and Curran charge the goblins, with Tiana using her Ice Shard ability to kill several of them and Zen buffing the fighters. The hobgoblin summons more goblins, but Nick quickly dispatches those in front of him. Trusting Tiana, Curran rushes forward as Tiana uses her Ice Shards to clear a path. Curran then delivers a massive fiery sword slash, killing the hobgoblin instantly while Nick finishes off the rest. They congratulate each other and begin extracting the goblin's horns to sell in the market. Curran warms up to them and shares her backstory. She explains that dragon people are destined to support a hero with their lives. She met a man named Kalos who was kind to her, and she was ready to risk her life for him. They ventured into a C-rank dungeon, and she left her important belongings, including a pendant given by her father, behind at his request. Deep inside the dungeon, she did most of the fighting while Kalos and his cronies reaped the rewards. When they faced the final boss, a giant snake, Kalos instructed Curran to attack the pot holding the snake to draw it out. Trusting him, she did so, only for Kalos and his cronies to abandon her after the snake used its toxic breath on her. They took all the rewards and left her to die, but she managed to escape. Curran returned to the tavern where she found her bag and pendant missing, and learned that Kalos had left the city. Devastated, she followed a famous adventurer named Fifths, filling the void left by Kalos with good food until her money ran out. She then made it her goal to earn money to eat more delicious food, which is when she met the party. The next day, Nick spends time with Curran at the market, bonding over snacks and conversation, strengthening their trust. That evening, they return to the tavern where they are recognized by more people. The assistant receptionist calls them upstairs for a special job. The old receptionist explains that an ancient facility holds a legendary sword created with lost technology, and their job is to retrieve it for a handsome reward. The party enters the facility, killing monsters and moving forward. They find the facility technologically advanced with cameras and automatic lights. In a large dark room, they hear a voice congratulating them on their journey, realizing it comes from a broken sword in the center of the room. The sword, supposedly legendary, resists when they try to take it, asking not to be sold and expressing a desire to see action. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurs, awakening the sword's guardian, a giant golem. Tiana launches ice shards at the golem, but it absorbs them. Curran attacks the golem, but it shoots the ice shards back, injuring her. Zen heals Curran while Nick attacks, but the golem regenerates. Nick tells the others to escape while he dodges attacks and uses the sword, now emitting a bright light like an energy saber, to cut the golem. The others try to break through the door, but it is indestructible. The golem attacks Nick, knocking him into a hole. Tiana freezes the golem, buying time for Curran to find Nick. Curran enters the hole, finds Nick buried under rubble, and starts clearing it. Nick urges her to leave, but Curran refuses. Nick tells Curran to shut up and stop trying to be a hero, but she refuses, telling him that either they all get out together or none of them do. She removes the final stone from Nick, helping him up as his faith in her deepens. Suddenly, the sword instructs Nick to say a particular spell. Meanwhile, Zam and Tiana are at their limits, their magic power depleted, as the golem advances to finish them off. Just when hope seems lost, Nick emerges from the hole and blasts the golem into pieces. Tiana and Zen are shocked to see that Nick has fused with Curran, transforming into a form with beautiful shields and wings, thanks to the ancient sword, which is actually the Sword of Bonds. The golem's core regenerates once more, but Nick, now extremely powerful in his fused state, uses the sword to completely destroy the golem, leaving its core to fall to the ground. Nick and Curran separate and lie on the ground, breathing hard with the sword in their hands. They return to the guild, presenting a replica sword to the old receptionist lady, as the sword transforms into a little white-haired boy named Kizuna, who begs them not to sell him to another antique shop. Everything works out, and they go back to Tiana's place to distribute the money equally before parting ways to spend their leisure time. Later, Nick and the party assemble in a tavern where Nick reveals their remaining funds after their expenses, discovering they barely have enough to buy snacks. Saddened, Nick rallies them with a pep talk, motivating them to start their next dungeon adventure. They enter a dungeon and find an icy lake with creatures frozen within and a giant ogre sitting on the ice. They creep up to high ground, preparing for an ambush. Curran treats this as a game, exciting Kizuna, who rushes at the ogre, shouting and ruining the ambush. Kizuna draws his sword as the ogre raises its icy club, hitting Kizuna, who blocks the hit with his sword. Everyone is surprised by Kizuna's strength. The ogre shoots an ice blast, but Kizuna bats it away like a tennis ball, then rushes at the monster, slashing at it. The ogre blocks with its club, but Kizuna smiles and uses an ability to clone himself, surrounding the ogre and slashing from both sides, killing it instantly. The party surrounds him, with Nick commenting on feeling tired despite not doing anything. Kizuna explains he used Nick's stamina and mana for the skills due to their connection. They leave the dungeon, with Tiana and Zen wanting to rest while Curran, Kizuna, and Nick, hungry, head to a nearby diner. Nick's heart drops as he recognizes it as the place he and his ex-girlfriend, Claudine, used to frequent, where she also dumped him. Despite his attempts to leave, they go inside and order food. Nick notices Claudine with another guy, receiving a gift and asking for money to visit her sick mother. Nick, fed up, confronts them, revealing Claudine's deceit about her birthday and mother's death. Angry, Claudine throws the gift at Nick and storms off. The guy looks confused and sad, but Nick reassures him, saying he dodged a bullet. The next morning, while having breakfast at the tavern, a huge tiger guy pours a drink over Nick, who remains unfazed. It's Claudine and the tiger guy, Leon, seeking revenge. Leon challenges Nick to settle the matter outside. In a dark alley, Leon surprisingly apologizes, revealing he's tired of Claudine and was using her to earn money. He assumes Nick is also using his party and invites him to join their gang. Enraged, Nick delivers a massive uppercut, sending Leon flying. Leon, drawing his weapon, attacks but is pinned by Nick. Suddenly, a magic attack hits Nick from behind. A magician from Leon's team appears, but Curran uses her tail to hang the magician upside down. Nick walks away, but Leon challenges him to a duel. Surprisingly, it's a mathematical duel. They will fight in the ring while someone from each team solves math problems, with correct answers giving free hits to their teammate. From Leon's team, Claudine is chosen. From Nick's Curran, who knows no math. Curran is extremely nervous, unable to even say anything. Zen gives her a practice exam, revealing she can only solve 20% of basic math questions correctly. The next day, Curran starts studying with everyone's help while Nick sends Zen to gather information on the Tiger Gang. Zen reports that the Tiger Gang cheats using magic crystals for telepathic communication, letting a third member do the calculations and relay answers. Curran feels hopeless, but Nick has a plan. He shares it with the group, rejuvenating their spirits as they prepare to catch the cheaters and win the duel. The next day, Nick and Leon stand in the ring while Curran and Claudine sit opposite each other, ready to solve the questions. The battle begins as the old lady delivers the questions to them. Nick and Leon start with light jabs that barely connect. Curran realizes she has seen these questions before and starts solving them, despite Claudine's taunts. Although Curran finishes first in the first round, she gets 80 questions correct compared to Claudine's 98, resulting in a free hit for Leon. He punches Nick in the gut, knocking the wind out of him. Curran feels responsible for Nick's pain. The second round starts, and as Nick tries to wear out Leon, Curran loses again, leading to another punch for Nick. Bleeding, Nick reassures Curran that he believes in her, boosting her confidence. Curran then scans the crowd, looking for any signs of cheating. Realizing the other team isn't using any magic crystals, she understands they think they can win without cheating. To ruin this plan, they execute part 2 of Nick's strategy. Tiana draws attention by suggesting all problems be solved at once, which excites the bored crowd. Although Curran struggles with the questions, Claudine begins to doubt her speed and resorts to using her magic crystal to communicate with a hidden accomplice. Tiana, Kazuna, and Zen find and capture the cheating nerd in the clock tower. Claudine, now frustrated, loses her cool. Tiana returns with the tied-up nerd and a magic crystal, exposing the cheating. The old lady disqualifies the Tiger team, and guards take them away. Nick's party celebrates their victory at a tavern that night, earning some extra cash. Tiana decides to visit a casino, and Kazuna, eager for special ice cream sold there, convinces Nick to go along. At the casino, Tiana gambles successfully while Kazuna is disappointed by the ice cream being sold out. Suddenly, chaos erupts as a giant tiger monster, Leon, appears, having used a special sword to transform and escape prison. He wreaks havoc, demanding Nick's location from Tiana. She uses a magic-infused lighter to blast him away and runs with a blue-haired woman. Leon, quickly healing, attacks again, but Nick arrives in time to block his attack with an energy sword. Leon, now more enraged, transforms further using dark powers. Nick dodges his attacks elegantly. Tiana suggests merging with Nick using Kazuna's power, turning into a beautiful female knight with amazing armor and flight abilities. Despite their combined efforts, Leon wreaks havoc inside the casino until Tiana uses anti-magic casino cards to neutralize his special sword. Leon reverts to normal and is taken back to jail. A few days later, Nick visits Leon, and they make amends, planning to drink together once Leon is released. While running one morning, Nick hears a voice encouraging him, thinking it's his idol Agate. To his surprise, it's the real Agate, who reveals she lives in the hearts of her devout followers. They sit by a bench, where Agate checks on Nick's progress, expressing happiness that he now has a goal. She confides her initial guilt over giving him a ticket, fearing she might have turned him into a desperate fan. Nick reassures her, grateful for how she changed his life. Agate then shares her backstory. Her real name is Belle, and she was once a singer in her boyfriend Donnie's struggling restaurant. A rich bald man offered to make her an idol, which Donnie, eager for money, quickly accepted. Agate, captivated by an idol concert, decided to pursue this path, despite Donnie's increasing demands for money. Eventually, she discovered he was gambling it away. Reflecting on their journey, she realized their dream of a restaurant had changed. She pitied Nick when she saw his breakup, and later met Tiana in a casino, admiring her gambling skills. Inspired by Tiana, Agate found strength. The bald producer eventually settled Donnie's debts but demanded he end his relationship with Agate. Accepting this, Agate told Donnie they must separate, as his life was worsening due to her. They parted ways, with Donnie laughing as he accepted their breakup. Donnie, feeling a sting of betrayal, turned to Agate at the gate and declared that it was her loss. He swore that one day he would show her by becoming more successful than she could ever imagine. With that, he started to walk away. Agate, seeing him leave, approached him one last time. She handed him a queen card, the one she had picked up the day she saw Tiana, saying that the beautiful goddess of gambling would protect him. Donnie snatched it from her hands, calling the idea foolish, and left the room, saying goodbye. That was the end of their breakup story. Soon after, Agate saw Donnie working from the bottom, and they both decided not to interact with each other. Fast forward to the present, Agate returned with a solo show. Nick was among the audience, as expected, and soon Agate came to the stage. She apologized to her fans for taking a sudden break and shared that during this break, she had met a goddess. Agate recounted the casino incident where a beautiful female knight defeated a tiger monster. Nick, realizing she had been there that day, freaked out. Agate continued, saying that this legendary paladin gave her hope and inspiration, prompting her to write a new song dedicated to her. She started performing the song with her teammates acting out supporting roles. Agate swore to the legendary paladin that she would become a real idol who would bring hope into the lives of her fans. The next day, as Nick was taking a drink after exercising in the park, he suddenly heard Agate's voice. She pretended to be his inner voice and kept bantering with him while hiding behind a bush. Nick asked her if she was fine now since she seemed quite down the last time they met. Agate replied that she still felt down sometimes because she was human too. She talked about how people are always surrounded by worries. Suddenly, they saw a stray puppy in front of them. Agate gestured for it to come towards her and began playing with it. Nick commented that resolving something that bothers us is the best step forward anyone can take. A few days later, Kazuna was babbling about an article in a magazine discussing a mysterious figure called the Stepping Man. He excitedly told his friends about this kidnapper with ghost-like powers that no one could stop. Current suggested they should defeat such an evil kidnapper, but Nick dismissed it, saying the Stepping Man was just an urban legend. Kazuna got angry and rushed to show Nick the witness testimonies, but Nick asked him not to believe everything he read in a third-rate gossip magazine. Despite this, Kazuna kept ranting about the Stepping Man. As they were talking, a green-haired nerd named Olivia passed by and introduced herself as one of the chief writers of the magazine Kazuna was holding. Kazuna told her he was a great fan of her work. Olivia, in turn, boasted about being an adventurer, performing shabby gymnastic moves to show how cool she was, and then stumbled into Current. Later that night, as Zam was returning from his usual visit to the pleasure district, he saw a girl walking ahead of him in the dark streets. Suddenly, she was pulled into the walls of the street and vanished, causing Zam to lose half his hangover. On the other hand, Nick had taken Kazuna to a live idol concert. They were returning home, chatting about how cool Agate was, when Kazuna sensed that Zam was in danger. They rushed to his location and found an invisible phantom trying to hurt him. Mick freaked out, realizing the story about the Stepping Man was true. However, Kazuna had noticed the trick behind his invisibility. He threw a sword at the Stepping Man, but it bounced away. The Stepping Man, surprised they could see him, jumped away and attacked Kazuna with a steel chain, destroying his clones before running away. Kazuna cursed him, and then they went to Zam, who had been holding onto the girl the Stepping Man had tried to kidnap. They took her to Zam's favorite establishment where the boss lady took care of the girl, whose name was Rana. They asked Rana if she knew anything about the incident, and she revealed that the Stepping Man had a personal vendetta against her. She thought no one would believe her because she was just a kid, but Nick assured her they did. Rana explained that her mother used to leave the house at night to fight the Stepping Man but was now lost and admitted to the hospital. She said her mother knew the Stepping Man was taking kids away, but no one believed her. Zam reassured Rana, saying they believed in her story because they saw the mysterious kidnapper themselves. He commended the brave act of Rana's mom for trying to fight the Stepping Man alone. Moved by his words, Rana requested Zam to accept her as a disciple, claiming his bravery had inspired her. She approached him, but Nick stopped her, about to reveal Zam's backstory of betrayal. However, Zam stopped him and told Rana she was too young to be his disciple. He advised her to train diligently and return home safely the next morning. He also told her never to do anything dangerous again, to which she gladly agreed. She was about to rush towards Zam again, but Nick and the boss lady stopped her once more. Suddenly, Kazuna let out a big sigh of disappointment because the Stepping Man he was so excited about turned out to be just a cheap kidnapper. Determined to uncover his identity and destroy him for betraying his expectations, Kazuna persuaded the team to go to a Wild West-style bounty hunter guild. They approached the receptionist and asked for information on the stepping man, but she was too busy painting her nails to pay them much attention. She had only seen Nick before and told him they didn't just hand out information about high-ranking bounties to adventurers who had accomplished nothing. However, Tiana and the others twisted her words to mean the stepping man had a high bounty on his head, forcing the receptionist to share information. She gave them the wanted poster of a man called Hale Hardy, who had a mid-level bounty on his head. She loudly declared that team survivors should have no problem dealing with him, drawing everyone's attention. Some people were jealous, most notably a dark-skinned guy with a ponytail and eye patch who said bounty hunting wasn't a job for amateurs. Tiana, not one to be walked over, declared they would find Hale Hardy and bring him back. The guy, hearing the word bet, made a wager that they wouldn't succeed. Tiana placed a big pouch of coins on the table as her wager, challenging the guy to match it, which made him nervous. She then told everyone in the guild to place their bets, turning the place into a big gambling fest. Soon, Nick and the team reached the worst part of the slums where even the knights didn't dare to go. The leader of the slums greeted them and asked the purpose of their visit. Nick explained they were there for a bounty hunt and offered money for information. The old man refused to tell them anything about their target, but Nick wanted to know if anything weird was happening in the area lately. The slum leader babbled about the birth of some puppies and other irrelevant stuff, so the team decided to search for their target on their own. As they were leaving, the slum leader advised them to steer clear of a person called Nalgava, mentioning that he was important but not elaborating further. They moved deeper into the slum, and the foul smell began bothering Curran. Soon, they encountered some thugs trying to extort a toll from them, but Curran and Kazuna quickly dispatched them. Nick grabbed their leader and asked about Hale, who revealed the location but asked for payment. The team ignored him, but Zam, feeling empathetic, diagnosed the thug and found out he hadn't been able to sleep. The thug threw a tantrum, saying strangers had no right to interfere in his life, but Curran assured him they did. Zam handed the thug a pouch of calming medicine, calling it payment for the information. Grateful, the thug warned them that Hale was a swift runner and would escape if he saw them coming. They entered the area where Hale was located, and Zam felt bad for the people living there. Kazuna spotted Hale with his girlfriend, and Nick broke open the door, startling them both. As Mick declared they were there to collect Hale's bounty, the girlfriend ran away. Hale tried to escape through the window, but Kazuna was already there to cut him off. Hale was tied up and taken out, but just then, a stern-looking priest appeared and stopped them, asking where they were taking his patient. Hale called the man Dr. Nalgava. The priest warned them not to mess with his patients, but Nick explained they were collecting Hale's bounty for committing various crimes. Nalgava called Hale a fool for wasting his life and said he could only heal diseases, not guilt. He asked to treat Hale one last time before he was taken away. Nick warned the priest that Hale might be executed, but Zam said priests should try to save anyone they could. Nalgava asked if Zam was also a priest, to which he replied that both he and Nick were former priests. Zam then asked why Nalgava was in such a place, as a priest capable of treating yellow demon disease must be highly skilled. Nalgava didn't give a clear answer. Suddenly, Kazuna asked the priest if he had heard about the stepping man who kidnapped people at night. The priest replied that he hadn't. Kazuna laughed, saying the place was full of kidnappers, so who cared about just one? Nalgava, insisting they be cooperative, mentioned a reporter who often visited and gave candy to kids, suggesting they talk to her. Nick and his team take Hale to the Bounty Hunter Guild, where the receptionist is impressed by their quick capture in just one day. Tiana then goes to Mr. Ponytail, collects all the money gathered from the bets, and ignores his protest that some of it belongs to those who bet on her. She takes the money to the receptionist and tells her to buy as much liquor as possible and treat the entire guild. Everyone rejoices, praising Tiana for knowing how to party, while even Ponytail realizes he lost on all fronts. The next day, the hungover receptionist gives them their reward for capturing Hale, along with vague and senseless information on the stepping man, such as how he fixes people's gutters and tells them to stay up late. The receptionist dismisses the stepping man as an imaginary figure, but Nick clarifies that they are looking for a kidnapper posing as the stepping man. The receptionist, unsure about kidnappers, mentions a person who gave candy to kids and is currently in the guild. This person turns out to be the same writer Olivia from earlier, who was talking with Rana. Nick and Zam laugh it off, but Kazuna becomes curious, remarking that while he couldn't see the kidnapper's face, They were light on their feet and used chains. Curran notes that Olivia felt too heavy when she fell on her and might have wrapped the chains around herself. Nick, laughing it off, quickly tells Curran and Kazuna to block the exits as he approaches Olivia, suspecting her now. He asks her what she does after giving candy to kids, but Olivia acts confused. Zam then takes the boss lady and run away. Nick continues questioning Olivia, asking if her job involves jumping from roof to roof. Olivia feigns cluelessness, giving absurd answers. When Nick directly asks about her identity and why she takes the children, Olivia, realizing she is surrounded, kicks the table in half and escapes through the roof. Later, at Zam's favorite establishment, everyone discusses how creepy it was to find out Olivia was the stepping man herself. Kazuna is particularly upset because Olivia wrote articles about herself as the stepping man, comparing her to an evil version of Peter Parker. The boss lady then introduces a special guest, Rana's mom, a muscular woman named Ada, who enters with the help of a cane. Rana runs to her, and Nick recognizes her as a former member of an adventuring party. Ada thanks the survivors for taking care of her daughter and assures them she won't let Rana do anything reckless. Rana tries appealing to Zam, calling him master, surprising Ada. Zam firmly explains that a young girl once deceived him, leading to his imprisonment and developing a phobia of young girls. He confesses that saving Rana gave him hope to move past this curse. Ada misinterprets this, thinking Zam wants to marry her daughter, but Rana clarifies that Zam is just her master. Everyone laughs, and Ada thanks them again but advises giving up on hunting the stepping man, deeming Olivia too powerful. Nick insists they won't let her kidnap people, and Ada reveals she started the bounty on the stepping man to lure adventurers into fighting her. Nick asks Ada how they can get strong enough to defeat the kidnapper. Ada makes them drink gourmet mushroom soup, which enhances their hidden magic potential. She then starts training them in using their magic, focusing on agility and movement spells. During a night walk, the team encounters Olivia again. Nick confirms Olivia is the stepping man, but she escapes. Kazuna believes she uses a magical tool to conceal her presence. The next day, Nick visits the jailed Leon to ask about such a tool. Leon mentions the Illusion King's jewel, used to conceal one's presence, and suggests taking the name of its user to break the illusion. Back in training, Nick masters some agility skills, impressing his friends. They then investigate the regular routes the stepping man takes, leading them back to the slums. The slum leader provides vague information about a recently deceased girl. As they return, a thick mist surrounds them, and Olivia attacks. Nick dodges her attacks using light body magic. Kazuna and Olivia use clone magic, surprising everyone. Nick asks if Olivia is the real stepping man, and she admits she's not the kidnapper but another stepping man. They agree to work together to catch the real kidnapper. They visit the burial house, where Olivia reveals an interference with their senses. They find a small red gemstone, a fragment of the Illusion King's jewel, indicating the real stepping man's presence. Everyone wondered why someone would go so far as to hide the identity of the dead girl. Olivia crushed the stone that obscured her identity, revealing an old burn mark on her arm and a mole under her neck. Zam inspected her eyes and found symptoms of treatment for the yellow demon disease. Later, they searched for information about the girl and discovered she was the daughter of a blacksmith who had gone missing over a month ago. They decided to return the girl's body to her parents. Zam mentioned they could avenge her afterward. Nick asked Zam if he had figured out the identity of the stepping man, and Zam confirmed, saying they must stop him at all costs. The next day, as the stepping man swung around the city using his chains, Nick intercepted him midair and kicked him down. They both landed on a building's roof. The stepping man commented on Nick's underdeveloped light body but praised his martial arts. Nick questioned why he kept committing crimes in the same pattern, whether it was due to overconfidence or a desire to be caught. The stepping man attacked, but Nick dodged easily and then charged forward, declaring that he had figured out why the stepping man kidnapped people and why their bodies were found in the slums. During their exchange, the stepping man taunted Nick, saying he hadn't discovered the most important thing. Nick retorted that he had always wondered why a skilled healer like Nalgava would be working and publishing research papers from the slums. As Nick mentioned Nal's name, the illusion magic dissolved, revealing the stern-looking priest as the stepping man. He congratulated Nick on his deduction. Nick noted that the dead body they found earlier had yellow demon disease and wondered aloud why such a deadly and infectious disease was limited to the slums and not spreading to the main city. He concluded that there must be a human factor behind it, as Zam had told him earlier. Nick deduced that Nalgava kidnapped people to develop a cure for the yellow demon disease. Nalgava declared they had nothing else to discuss and attacked Nick, who jumped high and landed a powerful kick. Nal blocked it, warning that the roof wouldn't hold against such pressure, which was exactly why Nick did it. The roof cracked, and both fell into the building below, where Nalgava found himself surrounded by Nick's party members with no escape. Zam asked Nal why he was doing all this. Nal explained that his daughter had died of the yellow demon disease. Zam remarked that his research had revealed most people believed the disease was an STD, but Nal's daughter had contracted it while caring for a patient. Rumors had spread, mocking her even after her death, fueling Nal's fury to find a cure, regardless of how many nameless people died in the process. Zam questioned how Nal could be so cruel and yet inspirational. Nal responded that everyone has multiple sides to their personality, and neither side is false. Zam told Nal about the girl they found and how, when they gave her body to her parents, everyone in her locality mourned for her. She wasn't a random nameless girl. People cared about her. Nal started laughing and coughing, telling Zam that even if they stopped him, the problem wouldn't magically end. Zam agreed, saying they could only take one step at a time. Suddenly, Olivia sensed someone coming and warned everyone. A magic beam pierced the door, hitting Nal in the stomach. A man in demonic armor entered, declaring Nal's time was up. Nal asked why he was there. The armored man replied that he was there to silence Nal for good. Zam tried to heal Nal, but the armored man hit him away, saying he would kill the team next. Curran and Tiana attacked with their fire and ice attacks, but the armored man dodged and struck them down. Taking advantage of the chaos, Zam healed Nal, who warned Zam that his kindness was self-centeredness that would get everyone killed. Zam was shocked, and Nick, merging with Zam, was also struck down by the armored man. Nick panicked, realizing his indecisiveness cost them another chance. Olivia sent a telepathic message to Zam, buying him time to decide. Suddenly, Olivia appeared from the roof, attacking the armored man. She revealed his identity as Kogan White Mask, accusing him of being a thief of magic tools and a provider of weapons to demon god worshippers. White Mask charged at Olivia, but she stopped his sword with her bare hands and attacked him, cracking his mask. Realizing the mask was an ancient relic, Olivia's attacks were ineffective. Meanwhile, Nick and Zam performed a union spell, shocking White Mask with their ancient magic. White Mask used his special power, trapping Olivia in a red sphere with increased gravity, temperature, and air pressure. Olivia could only curse in response. Zam wanted to help, but Curran forbade him, fearing he'd also get trapped. White Mask attacked them, but Zam blocked the heavy blow and used his superior mobility to blitz White Mask midair. This loosened the red sphere's restrictions, allowing Olivia to shatter it with her magic. She threw a heavy pot at White Mask, who dodged and charged at Zam, predicting his trajectory and landing a hit. Zam had planned this, and Curran's cross-shaped weapon hit White Mask directly in the face. White Mask, though injured, healed instantly and admitted they were stronger than he thought. He caused a giant explosion and escaped, leaving the building in tatters. Everyone was unharmed except Nal, trapped under the rubble. Zam and Curran rushed to help, but Olivia stopped them. Nal told Zam it was too late. He was also affected by the yellow demon disease. He asked them to leave before the building collapsed. Zam cast a pain-numbing spell on Nal before fleeing. As the building crumbled, Nal said he would tell his daughter in heaven about fighting adventurers, and she would love it. The team mourned Nal's death. Curran consoled Zam, saying he saved Nal's soul in the end. Olivia reminded them that White Mask was still out there, controlled by even more powerful people. Nick asked Olivia about her true identity, suspecting she was more than an average reporter. Olivia leaned towards Kazuna and asked if he was the Sword of Bonds. He nodded, and she revealed herself as the Elemental Class Anti-Demon God Combat Training Program, also known as the Sword of War. After the battle, the survivors spent time recovering from their injuries and sorting out their thoughts. Nick, holding a broken sword, reminisced about his past. As a child, he was heading to Labyrinth City with his parents when their carriage was attacked. His mother hid him in a secret compartment, but he escaped and bumped into Argus, who saved him and later adopted him. Nick trained under Argus to become an adventurer. Holding the broken sword with many memories, Nick fell asleep and woke up to rain. Nick saw Agate on the road and lowered an umbrella for her. They talked about their first meeting in the rain. Zam, running Nal's clinic in the slums, felt the people respected Nal, proving he was a good doctor despite his flaws. Tiana, feeling detached from her routine life, gambled on water horse racing to keep things the same. The group met again, and Curran nervously asked if they were fine. Zam, still working in the slums, was joined by Kazuna, acting as his bodyguard. The next day, Curran, thinking about her past and betrayal, encountered a newbie being scammed. She taught the scammer a lesson and reunited with her friends, who revealed they were there to see the Summer Sleep Festival preparations. Curran wondered if her hatred and desire for revenge would vanish if she continued living happily with her friends but didn't care much. Olivia brought big news about the legendary Dark Demon God's revival, which everyone doubted. Olivia had suspicions about the black market dealing with the Dragon King's jewel. Curran expressed her confusion about her feelings and past, and Tiana encouraged her to chase down her past and confront it with her friends by her side. They decided to visit the black market for clues about White Mask and to confront Curran's past. As they raised their hands in agreement, fireworks marked the start of the festival. They enjoyed the festivities, with Nick buying cotton candy for Leon in jail, Tiana gambling, and Kazuna and Olivia talking. Olivia, as the Sword of War, remarked that the survivors were destined to strike down the demon god, though that day was far off. She emphasized the importance of trust and teamwork, which they would need to develop soon. And so, the group continued their journey, united by their experiences and determined to face the challenges ahead, knowing they could only take one step at a time.